Hello, YouTube! I am Pinstar, and this is my 10,000 subscriber special! Yes, for the past 2+ years, I've been making videos. Strategy videos, simulation videos, let's plays, quick tips, and multiplayer mashups. We've explored brand new titles, dug deep on some of the inner workings of some pretty darn awesome games, and along the way, 10,000 of you have decided to come along for the ride. That is crazy go nuts awesome. What started off as just a side hobby has grown into something great, and I couldn't have done it without the support and dedication of you, my viewers, some of whom have been with me since the beginning, my very first video on Banished. Today, well, I figured I'd give you a little bit something different, a glimpse into my past, into the pivotal game that made me the gamer I am today. And what game, might you ask, is that? SimCity. Wait, what? No. Get that the f here. No. That is not SimCity. It is the mangled bastard child of what used to be a respectable brand. Thank you very much. And it's also misnamed. Since it's the 5th major title in the series, it should be called FimCity, both to properly label it and to keep it from tainting the name of the original. Now get that mess out of here! Now that's what I'm talking about. SimCity, the real SimCity, arguably one of the world's first quote-unquote indie titles before the word indie had even been coined and popularized. In 1984, a game was released called The Raid on Bungling Bay. It didn't exactly make any waves in the gaming world. Heck, I never played it myself. So why bring it up? Well, one of the level designers was a young man named Will Wright. He was the one that built the little bases that make up the various game's levels. And as he was working on this game, he found himself more interested in building these little bases than he did in playing the real, quote-unquote, gameplay part. And this got his wheels turning and his design pen moving. He began to design a game that was just about that, about building something. In this case, a city. Now, Will took his design to all the major publishers at the time, but nobody really wanted to publish this at the time. This odd project. The entire genre of city builder, quote unquote, literally didn't exist yet. Like, literally did not exist yet. But Will saw some potential and he wanted to make a game. With all the publishers giving him the cold shoulder, Will decided to form his own company, Maxis, which, by the way, is just the word 6 a.m. spelled backwards, and take the game to market himself. A daunting task at the time. Steam Greenlight wouldn't be a thing for another 23 years. But undaunted, in 1989, he released his game, SimCity, and was met with success. Maxis had made it, and the other publishers began to take him a little bit more seriously. 2 years later, Nintendo approached him wanting to make an adaptation of SimCity for the SNES, taking the core gameplay of the original, cleaning up the graphics a bit, and adding a few bits of Nintendo's charm along the way. And thus SimCity for the SNES was released in 1991. That's where my story begins. At the time, I was maybe about 9 years old. My first gaming system was a NES, and I enjoyed it to an extent. I had my Mario, my Zelda, some of the other iconic titles that introduced me to the world of gaming at a time when PC gaming was in its infancy, and we didn't really have a machine capable of playing much. But none of them really hooked me. I played them, I beat them, and I moved on with my life. Nothing really compelled me to dig any deeper. Then along came the SNES. Having saved up enough allowance to buy the system, my parents decided to reward my diligence by buying me one game for the system on top of the free game that came with it. The system came with Super Mario World bundled as a freebie, so I got to pick the other one. And that's when I saw it. In among the other platforming and racing games, I saw in our local game shop an odd title. this strange box art with buildings spelling out the words SimCity. In an era before the internet, where one could easily research new games in development and know what's going to be out in about a year in advance, back then one never really knew what one would find in these gaming stores. Knowing nothing about the game, I took a leap of fate and picked it up as my freebie. I raced home, unpacked the new console, unpacked SimCity as the first game to play, and it kicked my butt. It took me a while to understand the concepts at first, and what those were what were those little lightning bolts flashing over some of the buildings? How come this zone wouldn't develop? And even when I figured out the basics, doing well in the game eluded me. I'd run out of money and couldn't progress any further. This whole huge map to fill, I could barely make a scratch in it, and it kicked my butt. I gave up in frustration. I took it out, put it aside, and tossed in Super Mario World grumpily, thinking I had chosen my freebie game poorly. And as I played through Super Mario World, which, mind you, I had a blast with, I couldn't keep SimCity out of the back of my head. Why did the industrial zones always grow, but the others rarely did? Why didn't they grow big? I gave them lots of fire and police coverage. I saw one of my residential buildings turn into a bigger thing once. How do I make that happen again? Now, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed Super Mario World, to be sure, and I eventually beat it, but I just couldn't leave SimCity alone. I stuck it back in. I started a new game and managed to make it to a town, the second level of the game. And then I went broke. But undaunted, I started another new city, and I made it to the city status, the third level, and then went broke. But each time I restarted, I learned something from my mistakes. I saw what worked and refined on them. I was constantly losing, running out of money, or with a negative or minimal monthly income, but I was doing better every time, growing bigger and bigger before reaching that point. On a side note, by the way, every time I made a new city for an attempt, I had to give it a new name. I randomly decided to just take two random words and throw them together. Paper tar, dog light, soda bee. And that, my friends, is where the name Pinstar came from. I had randomly chosen Pin and Star as one of my city names, but because the city of Pinstar was the one where I finally reached that second to last stage, Metropolis, I had the game figured out. I knew how to grow, I knew how to make money, I knew how to use all the different buildings to my advantage, and it was around that time that my parents got AOL version 1.0, and I was asked to make a screen name, this new concept to me, for the very first time. And with the word Pinstar fresh in my mind, it became my name on the internet ever since. Now, you know a bit more about me, where I came from, what shaped me as a gamer, and why I have such a strong affinity for simulation and strategy games, and, well, indies in general. Now, to finish off our 10,000 subscriber special, I think I'll do a special micro strategy and tactics on SimCity for the SNES, as we grow a city from 0 to 10,000 people, one for every sub, and all on hard mode. So enjoy. And welcome everyone to my childhood. SimCity, the game that I would argue got me into strategy and simulation games entirely. The original, well, no, this isn't the original SimCity. See how it says there, trademark and copyright at 1989 and 1991? Well, 1989 was the original computer release, but back in that day, I did not have a gaming PC, or a PC at all, really. An Apple II GS. And yeah, that didn't play this game on it. So for a while in my early days of development, SimCity would be, SimCity on the consoles more specifically, would be what I turned to here. And that was released in 1991. So let us get in with it with a little bit of SimCity strategy and tactics for those of you who want to see it. Now, a couple interesting bits of trivia. It's not just strategy and tactics, but trivia as well. One of the other early claims to fame of this game is that, well, it had 999 different maps to play on it. Actually, it had quite a bit more. This is probably one of the instances of procedural generation that you would ever see in, or one of the earliest things of, not just procedural generation, generation using a seed. In this case, a 3-digit number. Obviously, the map generators that we have nowadays are a lot more complex. But here's an interesting little bit here. It might look like there's exactly 1,000 maps to play on here, since 000 is one, but there's actually 2,000 maps to play on. Allow me to show you. I'm just gonna set a normal city here, because watch this little trick right here. If I just remember how to get there, we go. If we return to the main menu here, start another new city. The counter is still on 10, but if we let it load here for a second, any second now, see, it's different. Now it looks like, all right, maybe it's an inversion. It's not. It is a completely different map. So this game has a secret 1,000 maps, sort of the backside. Now it's a little convoluted to get to them and to see what they all look like, but they exist. So then, let's do the back nine of map number 10 for 10,000 subscribers. As for our city name, this is exactly where as I previously mentioned, this is where my namesake came from. So in this instance, for old time's sake, let us recreate some history here, shall we? Now, I mentioned in my previous segment that we were going to do this on hard. After doing some play testing, I can do hard, but it's really, really slow to start up a city on hard. Like, really slow. It does not make for good YouTube. So we're going to start up on medium, just to keep things interesting and so I can actually give you some appreciable tips to use. All right, now, when you are on medium or hard, the threat of disasters increases, and that also includes the nuclear meltdown disaster, which is obviously prevented by not having nuclear plants. Now on hard, which starts you with only $5,000, the nuclear power plant costs you $5,000, and therefore you can't actually build anything else. So obviously you can't use it there, but even for medium, coal power is the way to go, and I feel slightly nauseous saying that. This game is really, well, I mean, come on, it's 1991. This is before solar and wind and all that other stuff actually came to prominence in both their importance and also their economic, value. So in this case, just because of, as a sign of the times, we're going to put down a big old coal plant. I'm sure some wealthy guy is going to be very happy seeing this. But I digress. This is not here for a soapbox here. We're here to build a city, darn it. Now, from here, what I usually go with, and this is especially true, is I usually go with pausing the game first while I lay out my city here. In this game, roads and rails don't need any kind of a station. They don't need like a way to transition from one to another. You basically can use rails like roads. Now, they are twice as expensive of roads in both their laying down and also their upkeep. However, they do not have congestion at all. Like, the game just magically treats them as being able to carry infinite traffic, and it does not create traffic problems. It does not create pollution problems. It just works. And because of some of the way the game was balanced, sometimes you need that, because even if with a teeny little village, roads can quickly become nightmarishly overcrowded with problematic zones here. with traffic, that is. And then traffic creates their own problems and also creates pollution, which for your residential and commercial zones is no bueno. So having just a single line is fine as long as you're using rail. If you're gonna stick to roads, at least in the early game, which you kind of have to do on hard, but even then, that's not even a good gambit. I'd argue you'd still want to go with rails on hard and then just be ultra economic with it. You're gonna want to space them out if you go with roads. So roads not recommended at all, like period. They later put more sane implementations onto the whole road-rail dichotomy, and also to the traffic simulation, to where you could actually use roads properly and not have them instantly clog themselves to death. Now, there's a couple of different main layouts that really work well for our zones here, and I'm going to show you a couple of them. First off, another tip is industrial zones, and of course our lovely coal plant, should go towards the edge of the map. Pollution flows off the edge of the map, so it kind of reduces their footprint. And this actually has kind of held true throughout the SimCity series. Like, that's been a persistent tip. Put your polluting crap at the edge of the map, and it will sort of vanish. It's sort of been like a little bit of a gimme that you can use to help in the early game with some of your pollution problems. It'll still yell at us for pollution problems, mind you, but still. All right, let's get to building proper here. What I like to do, well, I'm going to demonstrate a couple of different zone types. First, you have the 3x2 block. And what we're going to do with that is we're going to make that with commercial zones here. And what you'll do is you'll just wrap these up in rails here. This will ensure that people can get to them quite easily. And then next door to it, I'm going to demonstrate the classic donut block here. And this isn't one of my, building sets that with a fancy name that I've coined. Donut block has been around for quite a while in terms of just, it being named that. Now, I'm actually going to make 2 donut blocks here, since we can do it. You want to get extra stuff going here in the early game, just so you can leverage your profitability here. Now, another good tip for building this is that you have the RCI, a residential commercial industry, and it tells you the various ratios of demand and whatnot. A generally good ratio is R equals C plus I. So you want basically twice as many residential zones as you have commercial zones or industrial zones, or in other words, about equal if you combine residential or commercial and industrial with each other. So we're going to make ourselves another donut block here of residential zones. Oops. Derp. That was an expensive mistake. Okay, let's wrap up these guys. And actually, I did make another little bit of an error, but I can rectify it later on. The other thing I might want to do here... Yeah, let's get just another line going over here. And we'll get more industrial zones flowing up here. You don't need to keep a huge distance away from your stuff here. There we go. All right, let's get some power lines going here. This power transmits by touch and across by here when you build lines, so we need to build a line here. We need to draw them out here. One line over here, one line over here. And then another thing we're going to do here to sort of sweeten the middle of our donut block here is to get some parks here. And also natural trees work well as parks too. So if you happen to land some natural tree growth in the middle of a donut block, just keep it. It's free parks, essentially. Okay, 284. Yeah, let's just keep this in reserve for now. All right, we can start the game up now. And yes, rapid speed. Now, we have probably way more industrial zones than we could appreciably need. In fact, what I might do is I might go for another donut block here, or at least a starter donut block. Because I have a feeling that rubble there was probably bringing down the land values in the area. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Alright, so what's going to happen here is these guys are starting to build up individual family homes, the residential units. And as you can see down here, our commercial zones are developing. But yeah, that's what these little are. Now the grayer ones here are tier 2. These little white ones are tier 3. Tier 3 being lower. Oh man, look at that. We are a town. Oh yeah, I forgot about him. This is Dr. Wright, everybody. Will Wright's in-game persona as your advisor. He helps you out. So tier 3 here. And yes, we get our house. Our own house. How nice. I should have saved $100 to build it. Because that goes really nice right here in the middle. And interestingly, right here, we're getting tier 4, which is like the lowest tier, I guess. Well, maybe I'm misnaming it. But this is sort of the poorest, the poorest of the poor. Yeah, I know. Pollution warning. Blah, 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 blah. Curious why this one decided to go all low income here. Well, once I put my house down there, that will greatly radiate higher land values to the area, and yeah, it's gonna yell at me about more roads required throughout the whole game. Oh, and it goes to see, yeah, these are all tier 2, or as the game calls them, uppers. So the highest tier, the highest wealthy stuff is called high. The next tier down is called upper. The next tier down is called mid, and then the lowest is called low. So maybe I won't call them by tier 1, tier 2. Yeah, the land value of the whole area just sort of just shoot up. I'm curious to see what... All right, we're at 111. Huzzah! And that's really your goal here, is to try and make $100, or at least be at $100 each, with each passing year here. So now we're at 111. Yes, I know. After all that spending spree, there isn't much to it. But now this will help raise the land values around here and get, well, everything growing better, but more appreciably get these residential zones growing higher. And the nifty thing about the mayor's house thing here is that as your town grows, the house itself grows into a little bit more and more of an opulent mansion. Pretty fitting, I'd say. Yeah, look at all those apartments forming here. Yeah, all of them. Now, granted, they're all uppers. This is a high. The white and yellowish ones are highs. The brownish ones are the uppers. This is a high commercial zone. These are uppers. And uppers are fine. I mean, as far as I can tell, they work pretty similarly to how it works in other games. And we're already a city. Look at that. Congratulations, your town has become a city. And that, my friends, was a little taste. Oh yeah, the savings and loan bank. And look, our house has grown now that our city has grown up a level here. So now we probably might want to invest in a donut block, but for commercial zones. And we get an earthquake. Yeah, they have disasters here, and we don't have. Oh God, our city is doomed. Our city is doomed! Quick, don't look! Oh god, there goes our commercial zones. There goes our industrial zone. Please don't eat the power plant. Please don't eat the power plant. The whole town's going out of business here because of the fire. Because nobody's getting any power. Oh, this is not good. Boy, this game could just smell me. Well, it's good to see. Yeah, crime warning. I think they'll just catch fire eventually. But hey, they didn't. Oh god, they didn't burn down my power plant. Maybe I should have built a fire department. Maybe I should have built a fire department. And now I'm down to nothing. Maybe I should stick to more modern games. My childhood games can be a little unforgiving. Well, anyway, while we watch our, while like Nero, we watch our town burn here, I want to thank you all once again for your dedication and support to my channel here. Your support means everything to me. I could not have grown this large without you, and I am going to keep it up. Keep it up with a vengeance, thanks to your dedication and support. So thank you all. Thank you so much. So until next time, when maybe I might try a different retro game, or... this has been Pinstar, signing out. See you all next time.